Post-production. This is where you get to bring your vision to life. We're at the hour mark. I have about 25 minutes left and we'll jump into questions. So here, you're going to take the videos you wrote down on your storyboard, collect all the footage you filmed, and bring everything together into a final product. This is my favorite part of the process. I love editing. It is the most time consuming, to be fair, but my objective with today not only was to show you how simple it is to film a professional looking video with your cell phone, but I'm also going to show you the fundamentals of editing so that you can put together a video relatively quickly. I want to give you the tools that can be applied across any editing software. I'm going to use one in particular, but what I'm going to be speaking about, the techniques, are applied across any editing software that you would choose to use. Maybe you have someone on your team that is an editor or has access to an editing software and they want to use it, or they're allowing you to use it, but it's different than what I'll be showing you. It's the same concept. It'll look different in terms of the application layout, but I'm giving you the fundamental tools to apply across any editing software, across any project. But before we can get to that, organization. Again, keep your stuff organized. Folders, folders, folders. When it comes to working on big projects like this, you may have filmed and you may have collected 100 shots. How are you going to possibly keep that organized so that when you start editing, you know what you're looking for? I'm a big believer in organization when it comes to videos. When we hire new editors and staff, I harp on them, and it's a running joke at work, but I'm like militant about proper folder organization, not only because the editing software you use relies on that as well, relies on where things are saved, but just for our peace of mind. If you're working, this is a collaborative process. You're going to be working with people from your regiments and possibly your friends. And if you're going to be bouncing things back and forth, you want to make sure that everyone knows where everything lives. So I like to create dedicated folders for different types of assets. So I create a folder called raw. You can just call it footage, but this is where I keep all my video footage. I create a folder called audio, where I keep all my music, or I keep all of my voiceover files. Images, if I want to use pictures, if I found a great picture from my past, put it there. Keep it in your images file, and so on. That's just create that type of folder structure. It'll save you all a lot of time. And a good practice is when you are loading up your footage to your computer, it's usually a good idea to go through that footage and rename it, and because it'll give you a random file name from your cell phone. It'll be like a bunch of numbers. It'll be good to just say, this is the interview shot A. You can even use your storyboard to help guide you. So you go, this could be shot A for my first scene, for instance. So try renaming, at least review your footage, and then rename it as you see fit. Editing. There's a few things I'd like to speak on right before we get into our live editing session. First and foremost, what software should you use? Well, there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of great ones out there, and there's a lot of bad ones out there. I've listed 5 of them here. There's Adobe Premiere Pro and Final Cut Pro, which are professional grade editing software that are paid for. If you have a friend, or if you have your one of your members of the regiment that are helping with this video that want to edit it and they have Premiere Pro or Final Cut, hey, great, let them use it, have a blast. But I want to give you free tools that any of you can download on your computers today or on your phone, without signing up for anything, without paying anything, without giving your credit card and then coming back to you in a month from now being like, all right, where's our 20 bucks? No, these are free for life. So one of them is iMovie. iMovie is available on iPhones and on Mac computers. So if you have iMovie, you can do that. I run on Windows. So today I'll be showing you a software called DaVinci Resolve, which is a totally free software that is professional grade quality. The company that makes DaVinci Resolve makes compact cinema cameras. They're called Blackmagic cameras that name a movie that's filmed today. Any like for Marvel movies or most movies, there are scenes in that movie that are filmed on a small little camera that this company has built, and they built an entire free editing software that you can edit with. It's phenomenal. And this DaVinci Resolve is also a professional grade editing software. It's not stripped down by any means. You can do literally everything with it. And then I also referenced this this other app. This is a mobile app on Android and iOS called Quick. This is GoPro, the compact camera, action camera company. They made it a video editing tool, which is only on your phone, which could be a good option for you to run with. It comes pre-installed with a lot of templates where you simply just need to drag and drop your footage, and its app does the work for you more or less. You can, and then you go in and you do the tweaks you'd like. I am not really able to demo Quick to you today because it's a phone thing and I'm on my computer, but I've linked resources for tutorials on Quick if that is a direction you want to go with. 1920 by 1080. This is an aspect ratio that you need to make sure your videos are edited in. What that means is that it's 1920 pixels lengthwise, and then 1080 pixels height-wise, which is just, again, remember 1080p I spoke about a few slides back? This is that, 1920 by 1080. My monitor, your television, your cell phone run on this 1920 by 1080 or 16 by 9 aspect ratio. So this is to help you ensure that you get, the high quality footage you need, the high quality video that you need, and also to make sure that when it's uploaded to YouTube, it's at its best possible layout. You don't want it to be boxy like a 4:3 ratio, right? Like the old TVs from back in the day that I grew up with them as well. The ones that are like squares, that's a 4:3 ratio. That's dead. We're doing 1920 by 1080, 16 by 9, and I'll show you how to set that up. White balance, just as a reminder, you can do white balance in your post-production. I won't really show you today on how to do that because I want to show you more of the fundamentals. And white balance, again, it's something that you can just quickly look up, how to white balance and then insert the, the editing software that you're using. And it's a simple little 2-second thing. Use your network. So I've brought this up a few times, but because this is technical and this might seem overwhelming, again, I'm going to condense it and make it seem easy. And it is easy. But if you have somebody that wants to do this editing for you, great. Buy them a dinner, buy them a few beers even, and then ask them to make the video, because it can be time consuming. I will preface that. Video editing can be time consuming to make it really, really good. But what I'm going to show you today is how to make it quickly, and then you get like that structure that you want, and then you can spend your time afterwards playing with the details. So let's not waste any more time and jump into a live session. So I have DaVinci Resolve open right here. Let's start a new project, right? Simply click on this untitled project and it opens this up, right? This is all, this is a lot of information to look at. It might seem overwhelming, but I'm telling you it's quite simple. And there's a lot of this you can ignore. Before we even do anything, always check your settings. So for DaVinci, in this case, it's this little gear icon on the bottom right side. Click that guy, and you can see here by default, I didn't do anything before this. Default 1920 by 1080, good, that's what I want to see. 24 frames per second, good, I want to see that. That's all I want to make sure about. If, for instance, if this was, set up at 48 frames per second, right, that's not what we're going for. We want to keep things consistent, so let's keep it 24 frames per second at 1080p. So we can save that. We're happy with that. And the other thing I want to do is I want to save my project in my project folder. So I'm going to call this, we're going to call this our artillery test. Save. And let me just make sure I saved in the right place because I fear that I may not have done that. I have my project here. So this is where I would want, this is my project file for today. As you can see, I have assets, audio, and B-roll. So this is where I have my B-roll footage. This is where I have any audio recording, which is just a song. And if I had any assets or images, this is where I would have placed it. And I want to save my project file here. So if I remember correctly, it is, I don't use DaVinci Resolve like on my day-to-day basis, so a little bit of this is new to me. But you also don't need to worry about it in general because even if I close it now and I reopen DaVinci Resolve, it'll be here in your layout. Excuse me, I just have an itch. It'll be here on your layout. So just so that you don't get concerned, everything is saved and backed up somewhere, and DaVinci does a really good job at keeping your project files even on your startup screen. So this will be booted up in just a second. Here you go. There you go. There's your artillery test. So let's open this up now. Okay. We have a whole bunch of tabs at the bottom here. Media, edit, cut, deliver. You know, a lot of things we really don't need to worry about. There's only two that you need to care about today. One is media, and the other is edit. The only thing you need to do with media is import your footage and your audio. So it's a simple thing as dragging and dropping. So I have my B-roll and my audio here. I take my folders and I dump them in there. You know, I don't want to change the ratios, and everything is imported. You know, this is a couple of shots that we took from, this is a few years now, about 3 years ago. This was a breach training for the 2-field regiment and gun reload as well. So I'm going to use these clips and show you the fundamentals of making a really quick and dirty video. So I've imported my footage. I'm happy with that. Now we go to, sorry, the little zoom box is there. There we go, it's gone. Go to edit. And now I have a lot of stuff here. Okay, I have here in the top left corner are all my pieces of footage. Great. On the bottom left here, I have my transition tools, sort of like my effects, and we'll get to that in a little bit. We have here in the center, this is your timeline. This is where you'll be doing all the work. And then I have my preview panel here, and this blank panel you'll see right here, this is going to preview what your timeline shows. So let's pick the first clip, and I wanted to start with this instructor clip. As you can see, I hope the resolution is good, that I've named all my video files. So I have my instructor one. I know right away that this clip here has this gentleman instructing the basics of holding the rifle. So now I'm going to start bringing in footage. There's a few ways to do this. One, I can just drag and drop the entire thing, right? And I'll get to these icons up here in a moment. But as you can see here, I brought in my entire clip, and it's very long. I don't want it to be that long. I really only want a snippet of it. So how do I bring in that snippet? Well, there's a few ways of doing it. And the one way I'm going to show you how to do it is by deleting this. If you just highlight it and press backspace, it deletes it right away. I'm going to select my appropriate clip from my source monitor. So I wanted this piece here where he's kind of holding it back. There we go. So it starts here, and I want to place what's called an in and an out. These little markers are indicators to the software to say, of this 3-minute clip, only bring in these few seconds. So it's very simple. It's on your keyboard, it's I. And if I want to play it a little bit, scrub a little bit, there, that's where I want it to stop. And then I click O, in and out, I and O. This is something that Adobe does, Final Cut does. The shortcuts might be different keys, but you can do that here. And I'll bring it in that way. So now I want to just bring in my video. So you see two little icons here. One is a video icon and one is an audio icon. These things here allow me to bring in my video and my audio independently if I wanted to. So now what I can do is if I zoom in here, I can manipulate my video and manipulate my audio independently. If I went ahead and just dragged my video in, it keeps them connected, right? So if I made a cut on my video and it makes a cut in my audio as well, which you don't always want. So let's delete that. Another way that you can select your right tool if you so choose is, let's bring in that same clip again. Oh, wait, no, excuse me. Let me get rid of that in and out. Let me bring in the same clip here. Now I'm going to describe what some of these tools are. Really, all you really need to know for today at least is your zoom in and your zoom out. So this zooms in and zooms out of your timeline so you can get more focused on the specific part you want to work with. You have this mouse icon, which just like in everything on your computer, lets you click and select. And then you have this icon here. This is called a blade. So in DaVinci Resolve, the shortcut is just B, or you can simply come here and click it. And you have this little red sort of drop-down kind of a guy. This is your indicator. So this is telling you what you're looking at, right? As you see on this top right screen, it's previewing everything I'm scrubbing through. So if I want to get the same clip here, but if I brought in my whole clip and I want to get the right one, I'm going to find my section. Let's say it's here. Make sure that my razor blade tool is selected and place a cut. And that is now, as I mentioned, separating your footage. I placed a cut here on my red line, and now I have this footage on my right side, and I have this footage on my left side. Well, I know I don't need this stuff on my left, so I'll delete that. Easy. I'm going to scrub a little bit forward, and there we go. Let's say this is where I want it to end. I pick my blade tool again, click it there. Great. I got my, oops, I did that. I got my clip now. And if I wanted to use that one, I could use that one. So there's options for you. So let's just delete that because I'm happy with the first set that I collected. Okay, good. I'm happy with that. Now I want to, because I'm telling a story, right? So he just instructed them, the recruits, on how to reload a gun. I'm going to go now to my reload clip and scrub to the part where I'm happy with. Okay, here we go. There we go. That's a good shot. So I want it to end where they drop their guns here. So I'm going to put my out marker there. And I'm going to rewind a little bit. And start it where he starts loading his rifle. Oops. In. Oh, I made a mistake. I apologize for that. And then I want to put my out. So there we go. Oh. So let's bring this in. And let's bring in the audio. And now let's play this clip. So I have my first clip here. Right? He's just playing with he's instructing. Good. I want to see that. And now cut to there. Great. I feel like this clip is missing a little bit. I feel like I missed the mark on it, and that's okay. Now I'm going to show you how to sort of rearrange the shots to get what you really want. So this clip that I just dragged in, I can actually bring my mouse to the edge of it and drag the footage further back or further forward if I so wished to get the sort of the part of the video that I want. So I know that it's here. Great, so this is actually where I want to start. So I can either, again, use my blade tool to put a cut there, or I can use the same way I pulled out the footage. I can trim it the same way as well. So let's bring that there. Let's bring that there. I want to scrub forward a little bit. Great. That's where I want it to end. And I highlight the rest. And I've got a clip. What you're going to see now is just a lot of rinse and repeating. One thing I do want to quickly show you is that if you don't want to use the audio, that's fine. Delete it. And you're going to place music there instead. If you want to use the audio, and because it adds a different emphasis, a little bit more realism, use that too. The world, this is meant for you to get the video that you want, so you can really manipulate your footage the way you see fit. This has all this video. I think by the end of it, I'm going to delete all the audio, but we'll see. This is a process, right? Okay, so I know that he's done this one and they've loaded their rifles up. Now I want to show, breach training. Oh, I made a typo there. I said break training. Sorry about that. So I don't want the training. I want the instruction. So again, scrub through. See here, they're tapping. Okay, which part do I want? I don't want to. Oh, there we go. That's a pretty, in my storyboard, my imagination for this demonstration, I want this to be a little bit more of an action video. So I want to show a little bit more of that, sort of the excitement of it. So I want to start where that door gets kicked in. Okay, so we're going to start right there. Again, in, I. Let's scrub forward. And I think I'm happy there. O, out. Import my footage. Import my audio. And then lastly, or our second to last shot will be the breach training exercise. So again, scrub, scrub, scrub to where I want to see the shot that I want. I think I saw it here earlier. So they're about to start. Let's go back just a little bit. Okay, let's put my in here, play. You can either hit the little play button here or stop button to stop, or what I'm doing is just hitting the space bar. So the space bar, they're entering. Great, pause it, put my O for out, bring in that video clip, bring in that audio clip. The last thing I want to do is I want to end on this shot of the parade, right? Because even though it's exciting and fun to show all the cool action things you can do in the artillery, we all know that's not what the artillery is just about. It's all about camaraderie. It's about discipline. It's about building a family. And I think ending on something with the parade helps amplify that it's not just a bunch of guys and girls running around with guns all day. No, there's a sense of structure and discipline and organization in this. So I want to skip to where they turn and march out. So I really want to get it right as they turn because I want that clip to have emphasis. In. Oh, see, I missed it a little bit. So let's scrub back a little bit. A little bit forward. Okay, I'm happy right there. Space to let it play out. Great, and leave it there. Let's keep going. All right, I'm happy with it there. O for out, and I'm going to bring in again. Boom, boom. As you see, again, it's just rinse and repeating. I'm happy with this. Now let's start adding music. So it's relatively simple and similar to working with footage. I bring in my music, I put it down on another layer. So one thing you should keep in mind is in editing, you can have multiple layers stacked on top of each other. So for instance, if I took this clip here and just pulled, I'm just doing this at random, take this here, I can bring in this video footage and lay it over my contents here. So instead of showing this, it's going to show this and cut to another clip. That's probably a bad example, like here, right? You see it's the instructor speaking. It's the instructor speaking. And instead of him continuing his session, it cuts to that. Now, this is really useful when you're building B-roll. So for instance, this bottom layer here would be, if you're doing an interview, this would be your subject matter speaking. And then this would be your B-roll clip on top of it. So you would still hear the person speaking over the clip, over the piece of B-roll that adds that emphasis to what they're saying at the time. So today, all I really want to show you is the basics. So, one layer of video, one layer of audio, and one layer of music. And in fact, if I play this back, I don't like hearing all the sounds. For this, I just want to use music. So I can highlight all this, delete it, and bring up my music layer. So I just want my music for this one. If I wanted my audio, for example, if someone's speaking and I wanted music in the background, you can, in post-production, like in this stage, you can just lower the audio level of your track because you don't want the music to be louder than the person speaking. And in these software, it's very simple. You go to your audio layer and there's sort of a very faint line. I don't know if you can pick that up, but you just drag it down and it reduces the volume. Relatively straightforward, right? So let's delete that. Let's zoom out a little bit because again, all I want is music for this. Great. I want to zoom in again because I'm noticing a detail here. The song doesn't really start until this wavelength. I don't want this empty sort of dead air space in my video. I want the music to start right away. So I'm going to come up here right before my music starts, and I can use my blade tool that I've demonstrated, or I can use my mouse again and just trim it, select that dead space, and press delete. What I just showed you is a pretty great technique to help keep things, to start editing quickly instead of always having to select and drag and stuff. Like if I have, dead space here, instead of having to drag it to the edge to clip it, I can just select the empty space and click delete, and it's going to move everything that's on the right side. It's going to move it to where I've clipped it. So I'm happy with that. Great. So playing it back now. Very good. Okay. Good, good, good. I think this clip actually runs a little bit too long. So I'm going to cut it, here. I'm going to trim it here, and I'm going to trim it the front a little bit. Bring all my footage here. Click that dead space, delete. And I think now it plays a little bit better. So I play back just to review my shots. Great. Skip forward. I'm not going to show you everything because I don't want to spend a minute going through everything, going through all the shots. But you can see here, if I just scrub, okay, you know what? I am happy with what I'm seeing. The message of my video is coming across, but it's still missing a little thing. One thing is that my audio, my music, is playing where there's no video here. So to do that, it's very simple. Again, you're cutting, you're trimming. So I just drag to the end of my video. Straightforward, right? But I'm not fully convinced. There's a little bit more something I want to add to this video. I want to add some text on screen. So that's called titles. That can be something like a call to action, for instance. DaVinci comes pre-installed with a lot of 3D titles that look kind of funky and kind of fun. Right, like if I play it back, cool, like I added my text there. For today, I won't show you how to do 3D titles. They're pre-built in, so you can just simply edit on top of it. There's, in the resources I provided, there are references to how to edit the 3D titles. You can also just search it. Again, I don't want to just tell you to do your own research, but this is a tool that encourages learning as you go. I learned everything about video editing on YouTube. I would just be like, how do I do this in Premiere? Like, how do I edit 3D titles in DaVinci Resolve? And type it into YouTube, and there's some guy giving a demo of it, similar to what I'm doing with you guys today. So I'm just going to simply do a basic text, though, for today. So now you see here, there's title. There's a new layer, title. The title appears here. I want to start editing that because I want it to say something different. So I double click it and it opens up a dialog box here on the right. So on this right side here, I'm going to type in my new text. So let's say join the artillery, exclamation mark. Or if this is a personal story, you can say something like my story. You know, this is whatever you want it to be. Let's keep it with join the artillery. We're almost done. Now, just a few settings to keep in mind. I don't want Times New Roman font. We're not reading a Word document. Let's have a little bit of fun with it, right? Let's click through the library here of different font options. What would be a good one? Stencil. Oh, I'll be honest, I picked this one at random, and this is great font for a video about joining the military. So I'm happy with this. And do I want it bold or italic or anything like that? I'm happy with normal. Color, I can change the color of the text to whatever I want it to be. So let's just keep it at, you know, it can be red if you want it. So let's just keep it at red, but right for now, we'll keep it at white. And your size. So how big do I want it? How small do I want it? You know, obviously I don't want it that big. That's a bit overwhelming. And I don't want it to be like this because it almost feels like I'm yelling at you. Unless you edit your text in a way that gives it some impact, you know, you don't want your text to look like it's yelling at the audience. So let's bring this down and let's keep it like that. I'm happy with that. And then all these are just sliders that you can play with to determine how your text looks and feels. We don't need to go through all of them. The last thing I wanted to show you was centering your text. So here, I want to just make sure I have my text selected and I can drag it anywhere I want on my video. So let's keep it, you know, bottom here. And if I wanted it maybe in the bottom left, for instance, I would lower it to like 100, for instance, and I can have this exist in my bottom left corner or my top right corner. But I was happy with the way it was. So boom, boom, boom. You see me sort of going back and redoing some of the mistakes I did. That's me doing Control Z. Control Z is your best friend. You're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. Control Z just erases it. Sometimes we wish there was Control Z on life. It exists in video editing. We're very happy about it. So I'm happy with that. And if I wanted to add shadows to the back, I could add, you know, a drop shadow to my text. If I wanted to add stroke, like an outline, I could do that. If I wanted to do a background, you know, make the entire background black or blue or red, I could do that and my text would be white. So you have your options. It's all here for you to use. Great, I'm happy with this. And now let's play it back. Boom, 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 join the artillery. He's doing his thing. Oh, that's interesting. My text carries over to my next clip. And the reason for that is, if I zoom in, you can see where my two my two A-roll shots, my two shots of the artillery, of the training sessions, this text box overlaps. Well, I actually want my text box to finish even before. I can clip it and it'll end when I get to my next shot, but I want it to end a little bit earlier. So let's zoom out. Now I have a video. It's got video, music, and it's got a text animation. I'm happy with all of that. The last thing I want to show you is just adding a little bit of an effect to your text. There are a few common ones. It's just under the video transitions tab in DaVinci Resolve. You don't want to overwhelm your video with too much animation, too many ins and outs, because sometimes that can look really cheesy. A good rule of thumb for me is I like simple is good. So I want to use a cross dissolve, which is just video editing term for fade in. And I think what I want to do is I want to have my text slide out. So I can do push or slide. They pretty much mean more or less the same thing. I like the push tool. Great. So now what I've done is I have added in effects at the beginning. So if I slide here, join the artillery is fading in, and it keeps going. And then this kind of a little box you see here, now it's sliding out. Okay, well, I think I want this to be a little bit faster on both sides. So to do that, it's simply selecting that effect and dragging it to be shorter, and same thing with the other end. And Bob's your uncle. How does this look now? Okay, I like how it fades in there. I'm happy with that. That's good. It slides out nice and quick. I'm happy with that. I have made a video. Now I need to export it. What I've done is I've just, again, the I and the O, the in and the out. You can do that on your timeline as well. What you want to do is make sure your video, when you're exporting it, is everything that's in the highlighted area. Everything that's dark will not be exported, will not be in your final video. So in order to make sure I do that, I go to the very end of my video, click the O button. Great, now I know that everything that's highlighted here is going to be exported. And if I had footage just lying around on my timeline far to the right here, it won't get exported. If I didn't do this, and if I just clicked export to make my final video, and I had a clip, now let's take another clip here. If I had this clip out here, way out here, and it wasn't highlighted, what would happen is my video proper would be exported. All this blank space would be exported. So you'd watch the final video and it would just be blank, empty space. And then I would see this. We obviously don't want that. We just want our video itself. And then I haven't been vocalizing this, but I've always been doing Control S to save my project. Please, 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 please make sure you're saving your projects, because if your computer crashes, if you lose your file for whatever reason, or if your editing software just stops working, make sure you have a save file, a save backup, because you don't want to restart. It's really annoying. And then I'm happy with this. Let's go to File, Export Project. Let's save it. And we pick the folder we want it to save in. Again, this is my project file, my demo folder. I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it Final Video. Click that, do artillery test _V1, because this is going to be my first one. I want my teammates to review it, and I'll work on a V2. Let's save that. Okay. And also come back here and do a quick export. And you see here, H.264, YouTube, or Vimeo. H.264 is just fancy speak for an MP4 file, a traditional video file, which is what we want. And now we're reviewing our footage, our parameters, our settings. So it's a video MP4 file, H.264. It's 1920 by 1080. Good. That's what we wanted. 24 frames per second. Good, that's what we wanted. And click export. Again, we're gonna just call it the same thing. Yes. Now my video is exporting. And that's it. In 35 minutes, we made a video. These are the principles that are universal across all editing platforms. So what we just discussed here, maybe the short keys are different and maybe your layout is different, but what I just did here, you can use it, you can do it anywhere. You can do it anywhere. These are the fundamentals that I hope come across. So back to the presentation. I've linked to you some resources here at the end. These are general filming tips, some of our training videos that I felt might be helpful, royalty-free music, B-roll, this combat camera, the video editing software. So if you click these links, it will bring you to the website to download and install the software onto your computer. Editing tutorials for DaVinci and for Quick. If you want it for other ones, simply type in the name of the editing software that you're using and type in tutorial. And then again, I've linked that video about creativity having no limits. Please watch it. I find it very inspiring. I saw this a few years ago and it really captivated me. And I feel like the essence of that video is what I would love to see brought to these contest videos. On that note, thank you. My email is below. I'm now going to stop sharing my screen.